Greetings ladies and gentlefish, and welcome to another video full of subscriber replays. We are kicking off today's proceedings with the Big Bison driving his Cromwell, and it should be noted he has 3 marks of excellence on his Cromwell, which is pretty damn sweet. Now he is platooned up with CR Falcon 95, who is actually his dad. I'm not making that up. So this is a father-son tag team. Falcon is driving the Tier 6 American medium, quote-unquote, medium tank, the M4A3E2 Sherman Jumbo. So this is, strictly speaking, this is a Tier 6 medium tank platoon, and that was a bit unlucky. But honestly, the Jumbo performs more like a pocket heavy than it does a medium tank per se. If you want a true American Tier 6 medium tank, you want to go and take the Easy 8 Sherman, the other one, out for a spin. Nonetheless, they are both here on, I can't remember the name of this map, Live Oaks, that's the one. And we have got Falcon, who has gone down the south, so down the 9 and 0 lines, to go and deal, I guess, with the enemy medium tanks. And Bison here is spotting and pew-pewing light tanks and whatnot, who are... there we go. Who are trying to make themselves a nuisance. Now, one of the reasons I wanted to show this replay is that it's been a long time since I showed a Cromwell replay, and I don't think I've ever before been sent in a Cromwell replay where the owner has 3 marks of excellence on the tank, so that is pretty sweet. Pew! Nope. Now, Bison, I was about to say Bison wasn't shooting there, presumably to make sure he didn't get spotted, but actually sets the VK on fire, puts a couple of shots into him, and that guy burns to death. If you're going to do sort of scouting, passive scouting like that, you do have to be very careful when pulling the trigger, as it may all go horrendously wrong. You pull the trigger, you have a greater risk of getting spotted, and if you get spotted, you get shot, and let's be honest, the Cromwell doesn't have an overabundance of armour. The Cromwell is a very, very good tank, but well armoured it is not. So Bison is just coming around the flank, and with a bit of luck he'll be able to shaft these guys from behind. Now KV-1 here, have to be a little bit careful. KV-1 has already spotted him, which is a bit unfortunate. Takes a hit there from the KV-1, and the thing with the Cromwell's gun is, while it is a good gun, it, yeah, more damage from the KV-1. It doesn't get particularly good aiming stats, and there's another shot from the KV-1. Thankfully, this Cromwell doesn't appear to be using the biggest gun he could. But there we go. Yeah, the bloom values on the Cromwell's gun on the move are pretty horrific. So that is something you have to bear in mind when playing this tank. Hello, Mr. T-34, and yeah, you're dead. I must admit, now, Bison has 3 marks of excellence here, so he clearly knows what he's doing in the Cromwell, but a couple of times now he's taken damage where I'm not convinced it's strictly speaking necessary. But, never mind. Either way, he's got 3 kills, Buddy is down to 134 health. So he's just taking a slightly more passive role now. Hellcat is doing a bit of spotting. Can he shoot anything the Hellcat spots? No, because the Hellcat is dead. So time to relocate. Doesn't want to take another hit from, well, anyone. Might be able to survive 1 shot from some of the really low tier tanks, but doesn't really obviously want to take a shot if he doesn't have to. But on the flip side, the other flank has been pushing pretty effectively, and actually they've got an ELC in the enemy base eating their cookies, so there is that. Now from these bushes, Bison should be able to do a little bit of spotting. One of the problems with the Cromwell is because of that exhaust over the back, the gun depression is actually, well, you don't have any over the rear of the tank. In fact, you have inverse gun depression. You only have gun elevation over the back of the tank, which can be a bit jarring. I don't think he's going to be able to get a shot there. However, KV-2, big fat target out in the open, has terrible view range. Oh, that was a bounce. That was a bit unlucky. This KV-2 doesn't know exactly where he's getting shot from. Obviously, he knows he's being shot, but he doesn't know exactly where from. That was really unlucky. Stuart is not a particularly well-armoured machine. And now these are very difficult shots. And because he actually got that bounce on the KV-2, the KV-2 is able to kill the friendly Nashorn, which is a bit unfortunate. Bounces on the side of the OI because the OI's armour is completely balanced. And finally there goes the M5 Stuart for kill number 4. And Falcon has come back from the victorious flank. Probably a good thing, because whilst they have won that flank, they're not actually managing to do a whole host with it. Falcon has some armour here, so he should be very useful in holding these enemy tanks off, and that was pretty unlucky. The accuracy on the Cromwell's gun is not bad. I mean, it's no sniper rifle. Ooh, that was a nice shot though. But the accuracy isn't bad. So going for these shots into the OI's front. Now I can't actually see what ammunition type Bison is using here because of how I'm recording this. So it might be that he has switched to APCR, and I can't really blame him too much. Then again, bounce on the side. Maybe he is using armor piercing and he just got lucky for a couple of shots. So OI is coming to deal with the friendly artillery. Everyone loves an OI platoon. Oh, love is such a strong word. Bison is up to 5 kills now, by the by. And we're just waiting for these guys to show themselves. Now, the T-29 is over by the enemy base, defending that. And the IS and T-67 were last seen in the town, but we don't know where they are at the moment. ELC goes down, and that leaves Bison and Falcon here, plus a Jagdpanther and an IS. And this guy apparently can't spot Bison. Well, it's a distance of 422 meters, to be fair, and this is APCR ammo, very definitely. There we go. Yeah. Now, that means Bison actually has 25 rounds of armor piercing, which is interesting because, as I say, I can't properly see the ammo types being used at the moment, so that means Bison has actually been firing APCR ammo quite a lot, which, you know, if that's how if he wants to do that, he can, obviously. But there have been a lot of targets against whom it is just not necessary. But anyway, someone is in the friendly base, eating the friendly cookies. It's an OI. So Falcon does a bit of spotting, and Bison does a bit of pew-pewing. Now, this guy is getting shot from this side, and so he just rolls forwards, keeping his side exposed to the Cromwell, who is murdering him. Word to the wise, best armour at the front. If he turned his front to Bison, that might have been a very different story. But he didn't, so it wasn't. IS, T-29 and T-67 are remaining versus the Jagdpanther, Cromwell and Sherman Jumbo. So T-29 was last spotted around about by the friendly base. Sorry, the enemy base, my apologies. Just going to speed this along ever so slightly. Cromwell is a fast machine, but even so he has a little distance to go. Now, Jagdpanther is getting shot up by, at a guess, that T-67. I think he's being spotted by the T-29, and then the T-67 is shooting him in the flank, judging by the amount of damage he was taking and how quickly he was taking it. Bison goes for 1 or 2 blind shots here. And he's never going to really be able to deal with the T-29 in that position because he would be hull down, and there goes the Jagdpanther. So a T-67, a T-29 and an IS against this tier 6 medium tank platoon. T-29 is a one-shot. Good. We don't know about the other guys, which is a bit unfortunate. Now, long time ago, right at the beginning of this game, if you cast your mind back that far, Bison actually had shots on that T-67 who's now sitting on 4 kills. He penetrated one of them, but the other one bounced. So we know that T-67 isn't on full health. He'll be on about half health. Really unfortunate that the other shot missed or bounced or something, as it would have been nice to put more damage on that guy, especially as, despite being a tier 5 tank in a tier 7 match, he has now managed to rack up 4 kills. So kudos to him for achieving that. But it really would have been nice to be able to take him out at the beginning of the game and avoid all this unpleasantness. Nonetheless, we'll see what Bison and Falcon can do about it. So there is a proverbial graveyard of tanks from both teams over here, among the buildings up by the friendly base. as the enemy were making their assault, and mainly Bison was killing them. And IS and T67. And this is what I was saying about the premium ammo, by the way. If Bison hadn't used quite so much of it early on, then he would have had more of it to use against the tier 7 heavy tanks. Now, OIs are pretty hard nuts, yes. When you've got the side of an OI, you do not need to be pumping APCR into it. Only really need to do that from the front. And the IS and the T29, they can be pretty tough targets. I mean, they're not the most heavily armoured tanks in the game, but they are tier 7, so they are top tier in this match, so they will be pretty difficult to take down, although we know, for example, the T29 is a one-shot. Binos up, and nope, no one there that we can see. And there is the IS. And there is a bush that Bison is hiding behind, and he's trying to shoot this IS from a distance, which is not trivially easy. And getting quite a lot of bounces here. Now his platoon mate is he's using the derp gun, so he is able to put the occasional HE round into this fella. Bison's going for the lower front plate, which is a sensible thing to do. There we go. Finally get a shot in. But if he keeps just pumping shot after shot into this IS at long range, and the IS keeps bouncing them, Bison runs the risk here of actually running out of ammunition. He has had to do a lot of shooting this game and kill a lot of things, so he does need to be rather careful. Falcon pushes forwards into the town. He has the health and he has the armour. Side of the turret on the IS, thank you very much. And if the IS is going to turn to deal with Falcon, that's fantastic, and that is fire number 2, 3 this match. Bison has been getting quite a lot of fires. Makes me wonder if he has, I cannot remember the name of it, but there is a gunner skill or perk that increases the chances of module damage to enemy tanks. And Bison's clearly played this tank quite a lot, so that is possible. And you've got a rapid fire gun, so those two things can go quite nicely hand in hand. Anyway, that's the IS dealt with. T67, we know he's on about half health, give or take. The howitzer from Falcon's Jumbo, I believe he's using the howitzer, can kill the guy in one shot. No, I apologise, Falcon is using the 76mm, fair enough. And of course we've got that T29 who is on 2 kills. Now this is the sort of situation where loading high explosive may not be a terrible idea, because the T29 is on a pathetic amount of health. So it might be that the HE takes off the last couple of hit points you need it to take off, and T67 is so lightly armoured that a HE would do that extra little bit of damage that might be enough to kill him in one shot rather than 2. So HE here wouldn't necessarily be a terrible idea. Nonetheless, the platoon are working together to try and do something about these last 2 remaining enemy tanks. Now, T67, he's a TD. It's not uncommon for them to be up in these bushes, but he's clearly not anymore. He's obviously moved, otherwise Bison would have been spotted an awfully long time ago. I wouldn't be surprised actually if he had moved around to the train tracks. And of course that T29 low health was last seen just down in one of these divots, just over here on the right hand side, but it looks like he has also moved. So 59 seconds, about a minute left on this game. Chasing a T67 around a map, that's not a particularly grand idea, so Bison and Falcon are going for a base cap here. Now, if it were just one of these guys left alive, they wouldn't have the time to capture this base, but with both of them, they can. So the base will be captured in 32 seconds. Just going to speed this along a little bit. Oh, and the enemy team have decided, well, no, yes. Oh, both of them are in the friendly base, so this game is over. They've decided to try and cap for some unfathomable reason, because that just concedes. And they will lose, and there we go. That was the game. let's go and take a look at those post-battle stats. So here are the results for Crow Falcon 95. First class mastery, spotter, bruiser, shellproof, and fire for effect ribbons. A pretty nice game for him, all things considered. Actually, if we order the team by experience, he finished second on the team by experience, 1088 damage done, 0 kills, but 1100 base experience, and that's where that spotter reward comes in, because he got 2103 assistance damage on top of that 1088 regular damage. 1140 damage blocked by his armor, which for a tier 6 is none too shabby. 5 hits received, 1 penned, and 4 did not. 45 base capture points, and over 5 kilometers travelled in a Sherman Jumbo, which is a little ridiculous, and a credit profit on the side. So that's a nice result there for Crow Falcon. And if we then switch here to the Big Bison's result, we have got Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Arsonist, Duelist, Fire for Effect, High Caliber, Top Gun, and a Radley Walters medal. 4,164 damage done, 8 kills, 1,665 base experience. The two of them finished at the top of their team by experience earned. Commiserations to the enemy T-29, 2,500 damage at tier 7 is none too shabby. Alas, not quite enough to get your team to win there. 53 shots fired, 42 hits, 29 penetrations. More than half of that damage was from more than 300 meters, but there was a reasonable chunk from pretty close range as well. 6 hits received, none of them bounced. That's the Cromwell's armor for you. 4 enemy vehicles spotted, 9 damaged, 8 destroyed. 55 base capture points, 37 base defense points, 5.28 kilometers traveled. Unfortunately, however, because he did fire quite a lot of APCR ammo, no credit profit for Bison there, but a very nice haul of experience. So there we go. That was replay number 1. Let's move on with the show. Game number 2 then, in a machine that you see occasionally, but you don't see that much of. This is the British Tier 5 premium heavy tank, the Excelsior. As far as heavy tanks go, for a Tier 5, the frontal armour's pretty respectable, the side armour's a bit dodgy, the rear armour's better than you expect, the mobility's not bad, and the gun is pretty god-awful. So it's fairly common to see people firing quite a lot of premium ammunition from this gun because it has dire penetration. You're looking at about 90 something penetration, which at tier 5 is pretty awful. Although this tank does receive limited matchmaking, and it's pretty awful especially when you combine that with 110 alpha damage, which is meh, and dodgy accuracy and garbage shell velocity. But nonetheless, this is being driven for us today by My Name is Puffs, and he is in a top tier game. So, having a look at the enemy team, the only target against whom Puffs is really going to need the APCR ammo, to be fair, is probably that KV-1. Armor piercing should be sufficient for everybody else. Unfortunately, it looks like Puffs gets spotted there, or maybe it was the Panzer II-G who was spotted. Either way, Puffs ends up taking a hit from a T-67. Not a particularly auspicious start to this, and there's an artillery hit from the French Tier 5 Premium Arty there. So, not the best start to this match for Puffs, unfortunately. Hello, Mr. T-34. And there's the pretty dodgy accuracy on this gun coming to the fore. We can see here that Puffs does not have Sixth Sense. C'est la vie, but there is a T-67. This is one of those targets against whom high explosive ammo would not be a terrible idea. Unfortunately, Puffs' allies are dropping like flies, and the scoreline is 0-5. Puffs has done 1 shot of damage, and 5 of his teammates have just died. Enemy artillery trying to nail Puffs again. Screw that for a game of soldiers. We do not want that. So Puffs just pulls back, doesn't want to be spotted. BDR's managed to nail that T-34, and the T-67 kills their Type 95. Although this, which leaves things slightly better, although this does look like both enemy artillery are trying to nail Puffs here. Worth bearing in mind that this is a patch 9.16 replay, so this is the old artillery. So while the French premium artillery there doesn't do a huge amount of damage, that M41 HMC would hurt with a direct hit. Puffs decides, screw this, I'm going back, because the other side of the map looks a little bit dodgy, and the BDR says he can't win a single game with this. I assume he means with this tank. Well, we'll see. Best gun ever. Well, yeah, to be fair, the gun on the BDR is actually pretty good. Although, there we go, enemy artillery kills the Panzer T25. Gotta love it when you have artillery players who are incompetent. Nonetheless, oh, but Chip, maybe the shot just didn't go where you he thought it would. It's your shot, you have to be responsible for your shot. If you think you might hit an ally, don't take it. It's not as if the enemy team needs to be taking risks at this point. They were 4 tanks up and he made it 3, so is that going to come back and bite their team on the bum? We shall see. So now they have once again regained their 4 tank advantage, and Puffs is just trying to hang tight and wait for the inevitable onslaught and hopefully murderize them as they approach the friendly base. We'll see how well that works out. Now there are 6 tanks left on the friendly team, but half of them are artillery, so there are only 3 tanks, if you will. One of those is a T67, so there are only really 2 frontline tanks left on the friendly team, and both of them are behind this house. We've got Puffs' Excelsior and that BDR G1B. And honestly, this is a little bit crowded. But there we go, c'est la vie. There goes one of the artillery, so there's 2 artillery remaining. Yeah, this is looking like a pretty dire game. BDR, there's the alpha damage on the gun though, manages to nuke that T67, which really does help. T67s are very nasty machines to have, especially when they are top tier. And Puffs and the BDR actually form a little bit of a platoon here. Cruiser shoots them but bounces off, and they're in the friendly base. Panzer IIIJ is back there, and there is a KV-1 and a cruiser Mark IV. Puffs focuses the cruiser first, picks up the relatively easy kill, and this is premium ammunition time. With premium ammo, this gun gets about 144 penetration, if I remember. And before you go, oh my god, that's so ridiculous. No, it's not. That's the same amount of penetration as the regular Churchill one gets with armor piercing on its top gun. So it's not that ridiculous. Though, of course, the regular Churchill does not get premium matchmaking or preferential matchmaking. Panzer IIIJ takes out the M41 HMC, and so that just leaves these 2 tier 5 heavy tank platoons outnumbered. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3.5 to 1. Yippee. Them's good odds. Now, on the one hand, you could say, well, Puffs could rush this KV-1 down and probably kill him. Yeah, he may well be able to, but he would then be exposed to artillery. He would be exposed to all that those KV-1's allies. Yeah, it would be awkward. KV-1 bounces off Puff's front. KV-1 clearly has the top gun, as that was 160 alpha damage that bounced off. And if he's firing AP, the penetration on the KV-1's top gun is 120, and the frontal armor on the Excelsior is around about 110, 115 millimeters before you include any angling. So actually, frontally, the Excelsior is a pretty tough target for the KV-1. From the side, however, tier 3s can penetrate it. So there is that. And we have a really awkward sort of standoff here. The problem is, the longer these guys take, and by these guys I mean Puffs and the BDR, against the enemy team, the more time the enemy have to kind of encircle them, which is a bit of a problem. However, looking at the enemy team, there's artillery who are going to punish them if they move. There are tank destroyers who at this tier are probably going to camp hard, and Puffs decides, screw this, we need this KV-1 to no longer be a thing, and he kills the KV-1. Takes a little bit of damage for it, hides behind another building. And there's that M8A1 out there. Oh, keeping Puffs tracked, and this is actually really awkward because, yeah, there are tank destroyers and just whole bunches of unpleasant things shooting at Puffs' tank. BDR has been put on really low health by enemy artillery as well, so this is awkward. Now, the fact that Puffs was getting shot does give him an indication of where the enemy, at least one of the enemy artillery, are likely to be. And to be fair, because the rest of the tanks on the enemy team are tank destroyers, their view range is probably going to be a bit naff. They're also lower tier tank destroyers. Now, I'm not saying the Excelsior or the BDR get astounding view ranges, and they certainly don't get amazing camouflage, although Puffs is sporting a very tasty camo pattern here. But that could work in their favour. The view range discrepancy, time will tell. Time will indeed tell. Much like the previous game, this looks like it might be quite a long one. We're already over 9 minutes in this match, so it's not over nice and quickly. Now, Puffs is... where is Puffs going? It looks like he's trying to take up a position in some bushes in order to shoot these guys as they approach them. I'm going to speed this along a little bit just till we get back into the action. So there is a Valentine AT hunkering down behind a rock, and there goes the BDR. So at this point, Puffs is outnumbered 5v1 and doesn't have a huge amount of health left. Not an optimal situation. However, these tank destroyers don't necessarily have the penetration to go through Puff's tank frontally. So, yeah, what they might want to do is try and spot Puffs and have their artillery kill him, because Puffs' position at the moment is very much not artillery safe. Going to speed this along a little bit again until we get back into something that vaguely resembles action, because otherwise we're just watching Puffs' Excelsior sit in a bush, which is not the most interesting thing to happen in the world. So there we go, that was the Valentine AT, 1 shot in, 2 shots. Puffs doesn't know if he's been spotted because he does not have 6th sense. However, that was kill number 3. So now we've got an M8A1, T56, GMC, and a couple of artillery to deal with. And I'm going to speed this along again. There's the M8A1, and manages to burn the M8A1 to death. Has to keep moving, he definitely will have been spotted there, and those artillery, that could be a problem. Now, the T56 GMC, we know that he was over towards the 1 and 2 lines because he was shooting them, and of course you get indicators of where the shots are coming from now. This is a patch 9.16 game, they had implemented that. So we know roughly where he last was, or what direction he last was in, but we don't know exactly where he is now, of course. So again, I'm just going to speed this along a little bit. You know, an ambush from that guy would be quite awkward, depending on what angle he was engaging Puffs from. More because, well, Puffs doesn't have 6th sense, so he could just spot the guy, and Puffs could then find himself being nuked by artillery without any warning. And, well, there we go. There he is. So that's the T56 GMC dealt with. Apologies for it being a little bit fast when that guy died, but we only have 2 minutes of this match left. Having to dodge all of the artillery, and once again, for the sake of time, just going to speed this along a little bit. But it looks like the artillery have actually come to Puffs, which is nice. So there's that French premium artillery piece. Can be quite a dangerous machine. Seems to have found something to hide behind, unfortunately. And so Puffs is just trying to find an angle, and there's the M41. These are artillery pieces who seem to be rather enthusiastic with their W key, which I must confess is not what I was expecting. 2 shots into that M41, and there we go. Not really sure why Puffs is firing premium ammunition here, I will be honest. To be fair, the B2 is relatively well armoured for an artillery piece. It is based on the chassis of a heavy tank, but there we go. So, 50 seconds left. The two of them can capture the friendly base with 50 seconds remaining. However, if they get spotted, they're in a bit of trouble. Second shot to take out the French machine and then the American. And there we go. That is the match. And actually the BDR's concerns right at the beginning ended up being, well, there was I'm not going to say unfounded. I can see why he had concerns, but Puffs and he actually were able to carry this game in the end. So, let's go and have a look at the results. Okay then, here we go. Ace Tanker, Hand of God, Arsonist, Duelist, Fire for Effect, Shellproof, Steel Wall, High Caliber Top Gun, and a Kolobanov's Medal for standing, being in at least a Tier 5 machine and standing alone, 1 versus 5 or worse at the end and still emerging victorious. 1,875 damage done, 7 kills, 1,165 base experience. Shoutouts should also go to T-67s on both sides, Russian Soldier and Asus Christ. Both managed a good amount of damage in that game, and the BDR right at the end. He was a friendly ally to have in those last minutes of the match, actually, or in the second half of that match. So, yeah, pretty good result overall for Puffs. 31 shots fired, 21 hits, 19 penetrations for that damage count. Received 17 hits, of which 6 penned, 11 did not. 2 splashes, 900 damage blocked by his armour, which for Tier 5 is pretty good. 3 enemy vehicles spotted, 8 damage, 7 destroyed, 46 base defense points, over almost 3.5 kilometers travelled. Fired quite a lot of premium ammunition once again though, so no profit there for Puffs, but came away with a reasonable amount of experience. So one more game to show you, let's go and jump right into it. Final game for today then, and we join a couple of people from the 102nd clan. We have got Bomber J in his VK3601H, Tier 6 German heavy tank, and the person we're following in this game, however, is Isla in his OI. OI being the Tier 6 Japanese heavy tank. Haven't played this machine myself. I've played the OI Experimental on my second account, but I've not got around to playing the OI itself yet. So not played that one in particular. But basically you get monstrous frontal armour, it's a giant target, it's quite slow. Although not necessarily as slow as you might expect for a tank that weighs this much. And you have a choice of 2 guns. The 152mm dirt gun is quite popular, which is what Isla appears to be showcasing here. Yup, that is the dirt. Think KV2 dirt and you won't go too far wrong. So we are here on Kampanovka, everyone's favourite map. Nah, it's alright. And that's interesting and brave Cromwell. And there's half his health. That was not a penetrating shot, by the way. Had it penetrated, that guy would be dead. These 152mm howitzers at Tier 6 do not take prisoners. So here's the frontal armour of the OI coming to bear, and it's probably worth pointing out here that, goodbye OI Experimental, that in this match there are no artillery. So we don't have that to worry about, and so Isla can basically just frontal armor everything, and most of these people, pretty much all of these people, in order to do anything to him would have to fire premium ammunition, which is my main objection to this tank existing. But never mind, my objection's to one side. That Cromwell is taking a bit of a beating. Isla, however, is still reloading. These dirt guns have horrendous reload times. And ammo racks him just to add insult to injury. I mean, because of course he does. So he is dead. Scoreline is 5-7. Bomber J is leading the assault down the other flank toward the hill, though they haven't actually made it onto the hill, so we'll see how that goes. And another target crops up for Isla's big fat derpy gun. Although the guy decides, rather than getting shot by Isla's gun, he's just going to drop off the hillside there and then get shot by Isla's gun. Now, Isla is actually taking a bit of damage here. That Stug, I'm thinking he's probably pressed the 2 key and loaded that APCR ammo to go from about 150 penetration to around about 200. Can't really say I blame him, to be honest. Gotta do what you gotta do. Hello, Mr. Dickamax. Who needs to aim? You are dead. There's kill number 4. This tank is more than a little bit stupid. Now, Jagdpanzer 4 against an OI frontally doesn't really have a chance. 145 penetration with his regular armor-piercing ammo goes up to about 171 with his APCR ammo, but even with APCR, it's not really a reliable penetration. Depends on the angle and whatnot. Hello, Mr. Churchill. That shot missed, however. But he is getting shot by Bomber J in the side. So, yeah. Now, 2 of these guys can be a problem, of course, because then Isla struggles to keep his frontal armor toward both of them. But that Churchill is just getting absolutely wrecked. And there's the Stug, and there we go. Kill him. And more bouncing, and there go his tracks. It's entirely possible at this point the Stug has run out of APCR ammo, by the way. So there's that. Flat Panzer here. Oh no, there we go. There's a penetration. This could well be armor piercing into Isla's side. There goes his ammo rack. And Isla has to be somewhere else at this point. He doesn't have the repair kit left to repair his ammo rack, and so his reload time is now sitting at around about 40 seconds. This Jagdpanzer 4 can just go for it. Oh, God Lord. Anyway. None of them have been taking advantage of Isla's reload time here, which is kind of sad. But, I mean, it's only a tier 6 match, to be fair. So I guess I shouldn't be too harsh on them. Now, still that Matilda Black Prince. Oh, hello. Speak of the devil and he shall appear. If this guy has some premium ammunition, his pen goes up to 180, and Isla is in a lot of trouble. The guy isn't even firing. Has he run out of ammo? The Matilda Black Prince does actually have a pretty limited ammo supply. You only get 55 rounds of ammunition, which isn't very much when you consider the alpha damage on that 6-pounder is pretty anemic. So it would be quite early for him to have done so, but it is possible he'd just run out of ammunition if he was not being particularly careful with his shots. I've done that in one game before and I lost the game as a result. I was the last guy left and I just didn't have ammunition, and it's so slow you can't ram anyone to death, and so the enemy artillery just gradually plinked me. Anyway, 10-10, scorelines are even. Isla has had the ever-loving bejesus beaten out of him, still reloading by the way, because of that ammo rack. And finally, he has reloaded the gun. We've got the enemy OI, a Skoda T25, Hellcat, Panzer 4H and Stug 3G that has been giving Isla so many problems, and the one who's, I think it'd be fair to say, has done the majority of damage to Isla's tank here. Just going to speed this along a little bit because watching a slow lumbering OI get into any sort of position is not what I consider quality entertainment, though I guess your mileage may vary. Coming around here to deal with Bomber J now that he has successfully defended the friendly base. And the pair of them make a beeline for the hill. So, Bomber J takes out the OI on the enemy team. Oh, OI's going uphill, good lord. And they are now winning 11-10. Come on, let's get into some sort of position. Skoda T25 kills the Crusader, and suddenly it looks like the friendly base may be under threat again. I assume that's what was going through their minds as Bomber J races off at lightning speed to go and do something about it. There is the Skoda T25, but he dies. He gets KV2'd before Isla's able to turn the turret in that direction. And once again, we shall speed this along. Hellcat, Panzer 4H and Stug 3G. Presumably the Panzer will be spotting for the other two, though I could of course be wrong. And, well, Isla's survivability at this point. We know the Stug 3G is using the 75mm gun. If he was using any APCR ammo, it's likely he's run out, so he is probably not the biggest threat. Panzer IV-H, if he's using the 75mm gun, he is also not the biggest threat. If he's using the derp gun, however, that would be problematic. And then the Hellkitty, well, actually, again, with a regular armor-piercing ammo, yes, he can penetrate the front of the OI, but it is not trivial. A little bit of APCR, however, will make Isla a very, very sad panda. So, yeah. Would you believe this is at 2x speed? So, yeah, it's the... perhaps ironically, it's the Panzer IV-H who could prove to be the biggest threat here. Then the Hellcat, and finally the Stug 3G, though let's not write the Stug off. He is the one who has done most of the damage to Isla's tank so far. Panzer IV-H away in the distance. He is not using the derp gun. That will be a relief. And Bomber J kills him just as Isla pulls the trigger. 1 minute and 25 left on this match, which means that these guys really need to cap, because otherwise the Hellcat especially could just keep them driving forever and ever and ever. 2 people need to be in the cap for this to be a victory. This is 3 games that have all gone on a long time and all ended up with people trying to cap one way or another. So, if you look at the timer, now that there's a 3rd person in the cap, they can win by cap. But with 2 people, there wasn't actually quite enough time left for this to still be a victory. Just going to speed this along a little bit. I'm pretty sure Stug crops up, Isla misses his shot, and that is the end of the game. So, for the last time this video, let's go and have a look at those post-battle stats. Here we go then. That was enough for Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Demolitionist, Duelist, Fire for Effect, Shellproof. Oh my lord, what are all these little ribbons? One of them's cool-headed. Oh, Spartan and cool-headed. Yeah, that makes sense. Brothers in Arms, Steel Wall, High Caliber, and a Top Gun medal. So, 2,949 damage done there, 6 kills, 1,586 base experience, and also his platoon mate Bomber J, 2,379 damage done, 3 kills, 1,105 experience. Also, the friendly T-34 put in a good showing, over 1,000 damage, 1 kill, 808 base experience. Commiserations to the enemy Stug 3G. Although we didn't really see him until right at the end, he actually played a pretty good game, managing to do quite a lot of damage overall, and especially to Isla's tank. And why is there someone called Sun Tzu 1? Good lord, some people have such an overinflated sense of their own tactical acumen. Anyway, 13 shots fired, 10 hits, 10 penetrations, because module damage counts as penetrations for that damage count, most of which was from pretty close range. 42 hits received, 6 pen, 36 did not, for over 3,000 damage blocked by his armour, which at tier 6 is ludicrous. 3 enemy vehicles spotted, 7 damage, 6 destroyed, and 1,272 assistance damage into the bargain. With a premium account, that was a 40,000 credit profit, and a very nice amount of experience with that ×3 event going on at the time as well. Must say it was really fortunate that, having had his ammo rack taken out, Isla didn't have to shoot too many people much, because that could have been messy. Anyway, there we go, 3 replays for you. All of them ended up going on for quite a long time. But nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed them. If you did, feel free to catch some of my other videos and or subscribe to my channel, and I wish you very happy hunting on that battlefield. Ciao ciao.